Hello, dear folks, dear friends, dear coffee drinkers, fellow enthusiasts. Welcome to another podcast episode of the Coffee Roaster Warm-Up Sessions. And we're happy to have you guys. Whoa.
What?
Why is there water in here?
I don't know. I didn't put it there. Slight dilution.
Oh,
Dude, what are you trying to do? Iced Americano?
sparkling
I don't know.
Americano.
Serge,
Take this away while I go clean this up.
Well, folks, welcome. Welcome to another episode of Mirror Coffee Roaster Warm-Up Sessions. We are excited to be here. It is a late evening recording. I'm getting a little sleepy, but, fear not, my friends. We have batch brew made.
Speaking of sleepy, I've the last 36 hours, 35 hours just running on a nice 2-hour power nap.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah. I was cranking through an edit until like 4:30 till 5. And then I was like, why am I going to go to sleep? I'm going to feel even worse.
That's never the truth.
Showed up to Narrative at 7, had some breakfast.
Really?
Yeah.
I missed that. That's why I came
That's why
there.
I was there.
You were already
Yeah.
there. I was at Cash and Carry or U.S. Chef Food Store.
U.S. Chef Food Store.
Yeah,
What?
just picking up.
Were they always cash and carry?
They were. They got.
Is that the actual name?
Cash and Carry wasn't the name of like the restaurant supply store in Bellingham.
Good.
But there's also like other places like Everett. It was called Cash and Carry.
U.S. Chef Store is
rebranded.
like the worst name ever.
It has more modern like branding.
I like the cash and carry. It's like easy going.
Cash
like
and Carry is like
cash
black
and you go.
yellow, black and yellow.
Yeah.
But then U.S. Chef Food Store's got the greens, the blue, the whites, the kind of.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a little dicey. I don't know how I feel about that. It's that time of the podcast where we just sip on some Joe. Interesting. Nothing on the aroma.
No, I think, I don't know, man. Something's wrong with my nose. Tasted better in the cupping.
Way better.
Yeah, isn't that weird?
Like millions of times better. It's also a little coarse.
Yeah, it's definitely under extract.
Little, yeah.
No, there's pineapple. That's the whole candy thing that we were picking up on the cupping. I think it's actually just pineapple.
Okay. It needs to cool down a little bit. It's coming.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a very, very tasty. Actually, blew my expectations out of the water. From a local roasting company called the Woods Coffee. It's my stomping grounds. The first time I got behind a roaster, a beautiful Loring S35, and so picked up with my rewards points, picked
Cashing
up a bag, and ended up being a steal. It was, we put this on the cupping table literally like 10 minutes, 15, 30 minutes ago. And wow, was it impressive.
Yeah. Completely blind, and I was picking up some wild stuff. I had no idea. I don't remember the last time I've had Woods coffee.
Yeah.
So it was it blew my expectations out of the water because I had no idea what was on the table. Blind cupping is the best, honestly.
It's like it'll get you. It'll get you. It'll make you look a little foolish. You might not choose what you thought you would choose, And so it's always an exciting time. So yeah. But wow, what a tasty coffee. What a surprise. I was getting a lot of candied violet, candy, sweet. Just a beautiful coffee.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. It also was pretty light. I think folks forget that Woods has some light roasts.
Right. Yeah. So the shocker thing for those of you who are not local is that you probably wouldn't go here. Like if you visited town, you probably would because it's like a tourist attraction, but you probably wouldn't for like the coffee necessarily. Because they're kind of more like they're also not dark roast either. Yeah, they kind of play this very interesting middle. However, their single origins, which they always have rotating on the menu, just one single origin, oftentimes is actually what nobody expects and sees coming. And a part of why I really enjoyed having them on the table and just literally blowing my expectations is because it's always fun sometimes to get something that you didn't expect, and it's for the better. Like that's always just like such a fun surprise. But yeah. So, but yeah. So that being said, I also just wanted to, before we jump into this podcast, just want to say thank you guys so much for such a spectacular last weekend. A handful of you picked up hats, t-shirts. We sold out of some before some of you got your hands on some, depending on your size and your color preference. Yeah. We still have hats, but yeah, folks are buying that up as well. And so, yeah, it was just like such an exciting weekend to drop something new. And yeah, pushing through 10,000 listens is just super exciting. So just a very, very big thank you to all. And
for sure.
Yeah, it was a good time.
Yeah, I'm stoked on it. I'm stoked that we got some stuff going out, like the hats and the shirts and the new coffee. It was just a great release week. Yeah,
dropping the Solo AC.
Exactly.
Which has been popping off. People have been, snagging that. And, that's been really, that's just been really cool, though, to see also just like so many people gather around, us, which is like, we're still fairly new to the scene, which is exciting. But really, which ties into what we're going to talk about, is really like stuff like this is becoming super accessible, which is spectacular. Like people are getting to know more and more roasting companies. More roasting companies are starting, which means there's more good coffee being roasted and brewed. And it's only been growing over the last several years. And over the last 10 years, there's just been an explosion of instead of going into the cafe, actually brewing that at home in your living room, behind your brew bar, or wherever that is. Whether you're brewing, a pour over, you have your little pour over set. But now what's even gotten even more popular is now a lot of people they have some insane setups at home.
Right. Yeah.
And they have several $1,000 espresso machines in the grinder and all the distribution tools or whatever it is, the tampers, everything. But really, the fascinating thing is it's not just those really big, expensive setups that are able to create such a tasty cup. It's oftentimes also like a lot of these fun little hacks and mods that are starting to be released on machines that are $600-700, but now they're getting modded with PID, with all these like flow rate gimmicks and tricks and all these really interesting things that are now like you can have like a decent small sized setup at home. It's still going to cost you something, but now you're able to have a really tasty experience at home.
Yeah. And I personally still don't own a espresso machine. I maybe like to, but that's for a whole different reason. I spend more time inside of a cafe or a roastery because that's my job.
Yeah.
But I think if I wasn't working in coffee and enjoyed coffee to the same degree that I enjoy coffee right now, I mean, it's so easy to pick up a, Gaggia or Gaggia, one of those small little espresso machines modded out just according to Lance Hedrick's, video, which everybody has access to. The parts are fairly inexpensive. The mods are fairly easy to work on. You don't need a bunch of tools to make it happen, and you can pull some tasty espresso. And outside of that, you can get the flair and pull some tasty espresso too. So that whole idea was sparked by our buddy Jono came by Narrative, and we were talking about it. And he's like, I'm just gonna pick up one of these machines. They're under $1,000 and be pulling some tasty stuff just at home. So stuff like that is super exciting, but also the idea of like connection between like a home barista to a producer is getting tighter and closer and deeper
Yeah.
as time and
For
information
sure.
goes on or goes out. So that's the word that comes to mind is accessibility. Accessibility is just growing, and people are able to connect not only to information, but like even coffees.
Yeah.
And go online and order some very tasty coffees. So
Yeah.
there's so
Yeah.
much access to all of the good stuff that back in the day, the only way to get that was to go into a cafe, talk to a barista
Yes.
in person. There, it was just so limited, and now the access it's wild. It's bonkers.
Yeah. Back then, I mean, not even say like back then, but even maybe like 7 years ago, you know, having a setup at home that can be decently affordable, not gonna, you don't need a commercial espresso machine, you don't need an EK in your house. But back 7 years ago, that was nearly kind of like not really heard of.
Yeah.
Maybe 7-8 years ago, where that was still like a very, very, very niche thing. And the crazy thing is now that that's becoming more mainstream within our part of the industry, the specialty coffee industry, where now people are able to actually, instead of going to the cafe, they can choose what coffee roaster do they want to drink, what producer do they want to buy from, what flavor profile do they like, and not only that, but they can actually execute that on a pretty spectacular level right in the comfort of their home. Like, that's insane. And so there's this big dynamic shift I'm seeing is like a lot more people are now, they don't actually have to go to the cafe to get a really tasty coffee, whether that's filter or whether that's an espresso, which is crazy. Filter was like, okay, you could do it, but now espresso's joined the game. And now, people are pouring, swans and rosettas and tulips from their little Breville Bambino, or whatever.
Exactly.
Like, which is just absolutely incredible. And I think there are very upsides to that, is that coffee is becoming more mainstream, like really good coffee. I think the access to information, the knowledge, the awareness of these the flavor profiles, or the awareness that coffee can be more than just a caffeine hit, I think at the end of the day is always going to be beneficial for the entire industry, because at the end of the day it all trickles down to, if nobody drinks this coffee at home, or nobody goes into a cafe, but if nobody drinks this coffee at home, so what? Coffee's left at the farm because nobody needs it, nobody wants it. And so that's exciting from a sustainability standpoint. But I'm also curious, like, which I would love to ask you, because you're working behind bar, you've worked behind bar for many years, is like, just because people can pull tasty espresso shots, turbo shots, they can pull filter 2.0, Scott Rayo's recipe, they can pressure profile all their machines, have these beautiful tasty drinks, will people just stop going to the cafe? Because if you can just get that at home, why go to a cafe if you can have the world's best coffee there in your home?
But it's the same answer that if someone would have asked me, like, well, you can, buy a 6-pack of beer and drink it at home on your couch, watching TV. Why would you go into a tap room? Well, it's the experience.
Fair enough.
The cafe experience is all about hospitality, and having a tasty beverage is part of good hospitality, for sure.
Yeah.
But connecting with the barista, being able to be in a space that's crafted for people, there's a lot of elements that you can't reproduce at home. But there's a give and take on different elements. There's the comfort of your couch. That's cool. You can welcome people in your house. That's cool.
Yeah.
But your home is your home. It's not a third place. And most humans desire to have that third place where it's not home or work. It's where you go maybe to decompress, meet up with a friend, and that experience in a space is crucial and vital, and that won't go away. So I don't see, no matter how good the equipment gets, no matter how much information we have, the cafe is not going anywhere. I believe it's going to continue existing, because that has so much more to do with the experience that we share with one another as humans
Yeah.
and with a craft, and all of that combined is hospitality. So even though you can provide great hospitality by inviting someone to your home, there's a different element of experiencing hospitality by going to a third place like the cafe.
Yes. I agree. You know, there's like this weird tension where it's like, if you can just have it at home, and for some people for some people it's going to be a personal preference. Like some people just don't see a reason to go to the cafe if they can just brew it at home. But then now at that point you're now deciding between an experience more than a drink, a beverage situation, you know, because you can make the beverage at home or you can get it at a cafe. You're more choosing a specific kind of comfort or a way of doing it, you know? And so, yeah, the big thing also that intrigued me, even just like looking back at my drinking habits, coffee drinking habits, that is, folks. But really, it's like, you know, we have this office space in downtown. I have all the beautiful coffees that we roast. I can drink as much as I want of them. I have an EK in here. I have a Breville batch brewer. I have a cone shape, a flat bed, a triple bed, an upside down bed, whatever you want to brew on, a cupping bowl. Yeah, I can cup coffees every morning. Exactly. That would be tasty. But you know, at the same time, the weird thing is I still find myself, you know, in some weeks I don't go as much, but I still find myself going back to the cafe and paying, you know, $7 for a pour over, you know, even though I could literally just make it here because I'm already here. Yeah. Which is just intriguing for me to kind of analyze my own behavior and realize like, yeah, I'm not simply just going there because I need a tasty cup.
Yeah, and it's the same. Why do people who work remote, why don't they just stay in their bedroom and work on a computer?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's fair enough.
Students, why don't students just stay on university campus? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We all want to go to that second or third place, you know what I mean? That's outside of our home, outside of that kind of comfort. There's another level of comfort when we go to a cafe.
Yeah.
And I think that's beautiful. I think that's excellent. Yeah. Outside of, you know, business and stuff like that, the community aspect of a cafe is amazing. Like I love watching people come in and out of the cafe, not because they're buying my coffee or buying, you know, that product. They're actually the faces, the connections, being able to catch up. Like sometimes it feels like the regulars and the folks in the cafe are closer to me than some of my friends because I see them more often.
Yeah.
Because
that's crazy.
You know, one, it's also part of my job. I have to be there, right. And folks walking in daily is just amazing. Yeah. Outside of making them coffee, it's amazing to see them. So I don't think that aspect is ever going to change. But with that said, the ability to create wonderful beverages and wonderful experiences from a home barista side has never been like it's right now. It's completely incredible. You can, like you were saying, pull all these fancy recipes, all these ideas because the blogs and the Discord channels and, you know, the videos and all of that information is so accessible to anyone and everyone. Yeah. Even the Patreon like subscriptions are like what, $1, $2, $3, $5 at max. Like the subscription level, but the amount of value that those subscriptions give is insane because I didn't have access to that, nor did I mean, I think I was brewing coffee before Instagram existed. You know what I mean? So no, I'm not sure. I mean, for real, it's like, we can't really imagine that. Like before you could access and connect with people over the gram and now TikTok. I mean, there's so much more. And you can utilize that information to create hospitality at home. Yeah. That is very, very personal, very, very unique. And then also every morning you can wake up and the first place you go in, you know, your slippers, you can walk up and pull a tasty filter 2.0. I almost said espresso 2.0. Yeah. But you know what I mean? There's so much access. Yeah. It's a beautiful thing. Both are very necessary. I'm excited for both, even the fact that there's roasters and folks roasting at home just for themselves, not for like business. Yeah. Like the Ikawa home roaster, the the Bullet, like small roasters. Like I run into those folks in the cafe. They're buying coffee in a cafe, but they're telling me the green that they're roasting that
that's
week
crazy
for themselves.
And
the age range of, folks of being home baristas, anywhere from Kev is, teenager. And then I've talked to folks like Roger comes to my mind, and he's older than our dad. And we're always talking varietals, like processing methods and how to roast them. He's just roasting for fun. He was going to go to SCA for fun just because he roasts coffee at home. So that to me, I don't know, I'm going on this rant, but thoughts keep coming up. That to me is the culmination of all of the, first, second, and third wave of coffee. It's like coming into this like bigger wave. I'm not going to label it as the fourth wave, but it's like they're all building up, because now you can sit down, talk to a friend about a specific producer without even naming the origin, and be like, oh yeah, I love Diego's coffee. Like, that's as if like Diego is your friend. And that's beautiful, because that's what we've been working for, is to see that happen. And you can also, get online and purchase whatever roaster you've ever wanted. And you don't have to go to like a cafe to do that. You can, like, I just, randomly bought some coffee from Black and White, and it's going to be here tomorrow. I've never been to Black and White's cafe, but I have access to that through like e-commerce. And I mean, that's exciting. But again, the whole point of that is it's not just the cafe, and it's not just at home. It's all of those elements are just growing to create coffee and the experience of coffee beautiful and grander and bigger. So I don't know, thoughts, long extended thoughts, like, that was a good extended fermentation.
Not sure if it's that good.
As long as it's carbonic.
That's wonderful. There's a lot of things where I'm just like, I wish I could just think about that, let that ferment literally in my mind. Because I think the implications of that are just beautiful. I'm just thinking big scale for the coffee industry, because, the more that, specialty coffee becomes a norm, that's just going to be beautiful. Like for us, for coffee enthusiasts, that also means that like people are hopefully going to be paying more for their coffee. There's a sustainable aspect of that for the farmers and the producers. And the fact that also that creates a bigger market for really spectacular coffees, which means producers are going to up their game. It's that competitive factor of like, oh no, we're not just selling to one person now. Now there's a million people that want really, really spectacular coffee. How can we not only just fill the demand? It's that whole supply and demand thing. If supply hopefully increases more than, if the demand increases more, then the supply needs to match hopefully. But hopefully that also inspires producers, to push the limits. And we've seen that if these past 3 years have not been, representation of that, I don't know what is. And so there's just so many implications to that. And it's exciting that, once again, like these really brewing aspects at home are becoming so powerful. But also, on top of that, I think what you touched up on a little bit is that like people are starting now to talk about coffee according to the producer's name. That's powerful. I think there's that kind of relationship is only going to grow between, you drinking coffee at home and the producer at origin. Like there's so much room to grow there, which means the sky is really the limit. Like it can only grow from here. And I'm excited to see where that goes. And I kind of have some of my, kind of guesses as to where that can go and how big that can be, in the future. But it's just really exciting, that people can brew tasty coffee at home, and tasty coffee is everywhere almost now. So.
At the end of the day, the way I see it is there's so much more, or there's way more options for folks.
Yeah.
So it's not limited to, you have to go to this cafe.
Yeah.
You have to basically experience coffee in a particular way. It's much bigger and much wider now. The net is bigger. Like, you could, as a home barista, you could potentially go on an origin trip if you wanted to, if you wanted to invest that much.
Yeah.
But then also, like, if you love coffee, you never have to buy a gooseneck kettle or a dripper. You can go to your local cafe and have an unreal pour over.
Yeah.
That acts as even for our town here in Bellingham, the growth that we've seen in specialty coffee is insane. Like, you can go to a different cafe, like, on certain, days of the week and continue that cycle if you wanted to.
Yeah.
Like, the options are growing and growing. And that's a beautiful thing, because it's not limiting to, like, one way just because you don't have the option.
Yeah. And the fact that now those options are even spread out to, like, you can literally be living out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
Out in the middle of nowhere. And you don't have to miss out on tasty coffee because, well, you don't have, this cafe in your small town or whatever. And so I'm part of a small little Facebook coffee business owner group. And a lot of them are, like, starting small little, like, drive-through cafes in their town. And it's like, some of them are saying, like, this is the first legit, like, this is the first, like, coffee. This is the first place that is just known for coffee.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow. But if you're living in that town, you can literally have that right in your house. And it's spectacular, so.
Yeah. I think that's cool. I think it's exciting stuff. Like, sometimes we get bogged down, I believe, by a limiting view. But when we start talking about how, like, bigger things are getting on that scale, more access, it's a beautiful thing.
It's powerful.
Not much more to say there.
Yeah. Well, folks, down in the comments, if you're watching on YouTube or listening on YouTube, let us know, what are you brewing on? What do you use? What do you, how do you brew? Are you an espresso person or filter person? Let us know. Our emails are open. Our DMs are open on Instagram. But thank you so much if you made it this far, whether you're listening or watching. We really appreciate you. And folks, have a great rest of your day. And remember, reflect what's good.